Love has no borders, no limits, and no guarantees. But sometimes love is not destroyed by strangers. Sometimes it is broken by the people we trust most, the ones we call family. In the crowded, colorful chaos of New Delhi, a storm was quietly building. Behind the smiles shown on 90 Day Fiancé, the cameras never captured the tears, the silence, or the accusations that would change everything. Jenny Slatton and her husband, Sumit Singh, had been struggling with family conflict for a long time. Because of ongoing family disputes, Sumit's mother began making false accusations. She claimed Jenny had misbehaved and had even assaulted her while Sumit was not at home. Furious, she told her son directly, "If you don't divorce Jenny, you are no longer my son. I will not accept you as my child." Hearing those words shattered Sumit. He realized the conflict would never end. The only way to escape the constant tension was to leave everything behind. In the end, Jenny and Sumit made a difficult decision. They sold all their property, including their home, for $2 million. After the sale, they decided to leave India permanently and move to Canada. They also announced they would no longer appear on 90 Day Fiancé, or TLC. Sumit sold everything they owned, and together with Jenny, he prepared for a new life. This was not television drama. It was human pain, a love tested to its limits. Two people choosing peace over everything else. At first, life felt perfect. After years of judgment and rejection, Jenny and Sumit finally had the quiet life they dreamed of. Their small home was filled with laughter, sunlight, and the smell of morning chai. Jenny watered the plants on the balcony, while Sumit read kind messages from fans online. Someone wrote, "You're our favorite couple." Jenny laughed and said, "See, people understand us now." Sumit smiled. For a while, love felt stronger than everything. Secrets, lies, even shame. But peace did not last. Sumit's mother, Sana Singh, still refused to accept Jenny. Her disapproval never disappeared. It only waited. Soon, it returned as whispers and rumors. Relatives stopped answering calls. Family group chats filled with gossip. One evening, Sumit's cousin called in panic. "Auntie is saying Jenny disrespected her. She says Jenny hit her." Jenny froze. "That's not true." But rumors spread faster than truth. Within days, the family turned cold. They said Jenny had changed Sumit, that she controlled him, that he no longer cared about his family. Sumit felt torn between two worlds, his wife and his mother. Then a message arrived. "I want to see you. Come home alone." Jenny's eyes filled with fear. "Don't go if she'll hurt you again." "I have to," Sumit whispered. "She's still my mother." As he walked away, Jenny watched from the doorway, unaware that this visit would test their love like never before. Sumit stood at the door of his childhood home. His mother sat stiffly on the sofa, her face filled with judgment. His father sat quietly, pretending not to notice. "Sit," Sana ordered. "I've heard what people are saying," she said bitterly. "My son married a woman older than me, and now she insults me in my own home." "That's not true," Sumit said. "Jenny would never." "Don't defend her," Sana snapped. "Rohini saw everything." "Rohini wasn't even there," he said. "You've shamed this family," she cried. The neighbors whisper. The relatives laugh. "Jenny respects you," he pleaded. "She's tried so hard." "Then she should stay away from me," Sana replied coldly. Silence filled the room. At home, Jenny sat by the window, heart pounding. She had tried everything, learning the language, cooking Indian food, respecting traditions. Still, it was never enough. Back at the house, Sana delivered her final blow. "If you don't divorce her, you are no longer my son." Sumit stood up slowly. "Then maybe I don't belong here anymore. I love you, Ma, but I won't destroy the woman who loves me." "If you leave," she shouted, "don't come back." He walked out, the door slamming behind him. When Sumit returned home, Jenny ran to him. He could barely speak. "I'm no longer her son." Jenny's heart sank. "Then maybe it's time to leave. We can't win this war." By morning, rumors exploded online. A post accused Jenny of hitting her mother-in-law. The story spread everywhere. Headlines, gossip groups, angry comments. "They're destroying me," Jenny whispered. Neighbors stared. Someone left a note at their door. "Foreigners bring shame. Leave before it's too late." Jenny broke down. I can't live like this. She went alone to Sanaa's house. Why are you doing this? I've never disrespected you. You disrespected our culture the day you married my son, Sanaa replied. Love doesn't erase shame. She slammed the door. That night, everything changed. Rumors became truth. Words became weapons. Their love was no longer celebrated. It was condemned. The next morning, newspapers covered the table. Articles were everywhere. Jenny asked quietly, Are they still talking about it? She's your mother, Sumit. I understand that. But what about me? What about us? You can't keep letting her do this. Sumit turned toward Jenny, pain clear in his eyes. Do you think this is easy for me? I'm trying to protect both of you. Protect me. Jenny cried. By doing nothing? Her voice broke as she stepped closer. I've spent years proving myself to her, to your family, to this whole country. And they still see me as the villain. Sumit's shoulders dropped. He wanted to respond, but no words came. For the first time in a long while, Jenny walked away from him, not in anger, but in pure exhaustion. Rohit's voice came urgently through the phone. Bye. Things are getting out of control. Ma's video is going viral. She's giving interviews now, saying she was humiliated and attacked. Sumit clenched his jaw. Interviews? What interviews? A local YouTube channel came to the house, Rohit said. She told them you've changed, that you're under Jenny's control. It already has thousands of views. Sumit leaned against the wall, his phone shaking in his hand. She's destroying us publicly. This isn't family anymore. This is revenge. On the screen, Sanaa spoke tearfully to a reporter. I don't hate my son, she said, but he's forgotten who he is. That American woman changed him. She doesn't respect our culture or me as his mother. I only want my son back. The reporter nodded sympathetically. Jenny turned off the video, her hands trembling. She's playing the victim, she whispered, and everyone believes her. Sumit sat beside her. Let them talk. The truth will come out. Jenny looked at him broken. When, Sumit? When it's too late. Silence filled the room. For Jenny, the silence felt like defeat. For Sumit, it felt like guilt. Neither of them knew how to win anymore. I think your mother wants me gone, Jenny said softly. Not just from your life, but from this country. Sumit looked up, eyes filled with sorrow. Maybe that's what she wants. But she won't get it. Jenny shook her head. She already has. She's taken everything. Our peace, our reputation, our happiness. He reached for her hand. We'll get through this. She studied his face. And if we don't? The question hung heavy between them. Jenny slowly pulled her hand away. Maybe it's time to think about leaving. Sumit froze. Leaving? India? Yes, Jenny whispered. Starting over somewhere they don't know us. Somewhere we aren't judged every day. He didn't answer. But for the first time, he didn't say no either. When home becomes a battlefield, love looks for another place to survive. Leaving India meant abandoning family, memories, and identity. For Sumit, it felt impossible. For Jenny, it felt necessary. That moment had arrived. Sumit ended the phone call slowly and turned to Jenny. That was the police. They're sending someone tomorrow, just to ask a few questions. Jenny's eyes widened. Questions about what? I didn't do anything. I know, he said quickly. It's procedure. Procedure for a crime that never happened, she said, her voice cracking. I'm scared, Sumit. Not of the police, of your mother. She won't stop until I'm gone. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back. I've stayed quiet too long. I've tried to be kind. I've tried to fit in. She crossed every line. The officers arrived the next day. Mrs. Slatton, one asked. Yes, Jenny replied nervously. We're here regarding a complaint filed by Mrs. Sanaa Singh, the officer said. It alleges verbal and physical abuse. Sumit stepped forward. Sir, those accusations are false. My wife has never hurt anyone. The officers listened as Jenny explained everything. Arguments, yes. Violence, never. She had always shown respect, even when it wasn't returned. They took notes, thanked them, and left. We'll treat this as a civil family dispute for now. As soon as the door closed, Jenny broke down. It's not over, she cried. She won't stop. Outside, neighbors whispered as the officers walked away. Sumit confronted his mother later that day. Why would you do this? Why file a false report? Because I'm saving you, Sana replied calmly. You humiliated me. That woman is not your wife in my eyes. She is my wife, Sumit shouted. She is my life. Then go live with her, Sana yelled. Don't ever come back. As he turned to leave, her final words cut deep. From this moment, you are no longer my son. When Sumit returned home, Jenny ran to him. Where were you? It's done, he said quietly. She disowned me. Jenny knelt beside him. Then maybe it's time we change everything else. Let's sell everything. Let's leave India. After a long silence, Sumit whispered, okay. That night, they decided to leave. But by morning, their plan had leaked. Articles claimed they were fleeing India to escape consequences. They're still trying to destroy us, Jenny whispered. Sumit placed a hand on her shoulder. We're not running. We're choosing peace. Outside, neighbors whispered again. Jenny trembled at the window. They're outside, she said softly. Ignore them, Sumit replied, his jaw tight. And together, they prepared to leave everything behind. The whispers outside did not stop. They grew louder with each passing hour. People lingered near the gate longer than before. Phones were raised. Photos were taken. Jenny stayed away from the windows, her nerves stretched thin. That evening, Sumit locked the door and pulled the curtains closed. We'll stay inside tonight, he said quietly. We don't need to give them anything more. Jenny nodded, sitting on the edge of the sofa. Her hands were cold. I never imagined it would come to this, she said. All I wanted was a normal life with you. Sumit sat beside her. I know, and I'm sorry. I should have protected you better. She looked at him, tears in her eyes. You tried, but some people don't want peace. They want control. That night, sleep did not come easily. Every sound outside made Jenny tense. A passing motorcycle, voices down the street, laughter that felt mocking even if it wasn't meant to be. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how love had turned into something so heavy. By morning, the decision felt unavoidable. Leaving was no longer an idea. It was survival. They began quietly. No announcements. No social media posts. Just calls to agents and lawyers. The house went on the market first. Then the cafe. Then the car. Every item they sold felt like letting go of a chapter of their lives. Packing was the hardest part. Jenny folded clothes slowly, touching familiar fabrics, remembering moments attached to each one. Festivals, trips, even arguments. Sumit boxed up books and papers, pausing often lost in thought. This was supposed to be our forever, Jenny said softly, holding a framed photo from their wedding. Sumit took it from her and placed it carefully in a box. It still mattered, he said, even if it didn't last. The days that followed were tense. Reporters called. Messages flooded in. Some supportive, many cruel. Accusations repeated over and over, growing more dramatic each time they were shared. One article claimed Jenny had manipulated Sumit for money. Another said Sumit was abandoning his parents for fame. None of it was true, but truth felt irrelevant now. Jenny stopped reading everything. I can't do this anymore, she said, deleting another app from her phone. I need silence. Sumit agreed. We'll disappear. Just for a while. But disappearing in a crowded city was harder than they expected. One afternoon, as they met with a real estate agent, a man recognized them and began recording. Why are you running? He shouted. Is it true you attacked your mother-in-law? Sumit stepped in front of Jenny immediately. Please stop, he said firmly. Leave us alone. The video appeared online within hours, edited to make it seem like an admission of guilt. Jenny cried that night, shaking in Sumit's arms. No matter what we do, it gets twisted. Sumit held her tightly. Just a little longer, he whispered. We're almost out. Behind the scenes, Sana continued speaking to anyone who would listen. Each interview painted Jenny as disrespectful, dangerous, foreign. Each one gained sympathy. Each one deepened the divide. Sumit's father tried once more to intervene. He called late one night, his voice tired. This has gone too far, he said. Your mother won't stop. But she's also hurting herself. What do you want me to do? Sumit asked quietly. There was a long pause. I don't know, his father admitted. I just wanted you to hear that not everyone believes the lies. It was the closest thing to comfort Sumit had felt in weeks. Finally, the sales were completed. The house, the cafe, everything they had built together. The money was transferred. Tickets were booked. Canada felt distant and unreal, like a place that existed only in theory. On their last night in the house, they sat on the floor surrounded by boxes. No furniture, no decorations, just echoes. Do you regret marrying me? Jenny asked suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper. Sumit turned to her immediately. Never. Not for 1 second. She nodded slowly. I don't regret it either. I just wish love hadn't cost us so much. Maybe it didn't cost us, he said. Maybe it taught us what matters. The morning of their departure arrived quietly. No crowd. No farewell from family. Just a taxi waiting outside. As they stepped out, a few neighbors watched silently. No shouting this time. No cameras. Just long stares. Jenny took one last look at the house. Goodbye, she whispered. At the airport, the weight finally lifted a little. Surrounded by strangers who didn't know their names or their story, Jenny felt something close to relief. As they waited to board, Sumit reached for her hand. I don't know what comes next, he said honestly, but I know I want to face it with you. Jenny squeezed his hand. That's enough for now. The flight was long. Jenny slept for the first time in days, her head resting against Sumit's shoulder. When she woke, the world outside the window looked different. Quieter, calmer. Canada greeted them with cold air and unfamiliar streets. No one stared. No one whispered. They were just another couple with suitcases, starting over. The first weeks were difficult. New systems, new accents, new routines. They rented a small apartment and furnished it slowly. Second-hand furniture, simple meals, long walks through neighborhoods where no one recognized them. Some nights, the past still crept in. Jenny would wake from dreams of shouting voices and slammed doors. Sumit would sit with her until the fear passed. We're safe, he would remind her. No one can hurt us here. Slowly, peace began to feel real. They stopped following the news from India, stopped searching their names online. Life became smaller, but gentler. One evening, as snow fell outside their window, Jenny smiled for no reason at all. I think this is the first time in years I feel calm. Sumit smiled back. Me too. Their story did not end with applause or closure. It ended quietly, with two people choosing each other over noise, over expectation, over fear. Sometimes love doesn't win by staying and fighting. Sometimes it wins by leaving. And for Jenny and Sumit, leaving was the bravest thing they ever did. Life in Canada moved at a slower pace, and that slowness became their greatest comfort. Days were no longer filled with arguments, explanations, or fear of the next accusation. Instead, they were filled with ordinary moments that felt precious precisely because they were ordinary. Jenny found comfort in routine. Morning coffee by the window, short walks through quiet streets, phone calls with her family that no longer felt rushed or secretive. She began to feel like herself again, not the version constantly defending her existence, but the woman she had been before the noise took over her life. Sumit worked hard to rebuild his sense of purpose. He took temporary jobs, learned new systems, and reminded himself daily that starting over did not mean failure. Some nights, guilt still weighed heavily on him. Guilt for leaving his father behind. Guilt for choosing distance over duty. But when he looked at Jenny, calmer and safer than she had been in years, he knew the choice had been necessary. They talked more openly than ever before. About boundaries, about mistakes, about the parts of themselves they had lost while trying to please everyone else. There were difficult conversations, but they were honest ones. No shouting, no fear, just two people trying to understand each other without outside voices interfering. Jenny sometimes thought about Sanaa, not with anger anymore, but with sadness. She realized that some people confuse control with love and tradition with ownership. She stopped hoping for an apology. Acceptance, she learned, does not always come from others. Sometimes it comes from letting go. Months passed. Seasons changed. Snow melted into spring. The world outside their window began to bloom And slowly, so did they. They made a few friends, neighbors who smiled politely, coworkers who asked simple questions without judgment. No one cared about their past. They were free to be present instead of explained. One evening, while cooking dinner together, Jenny laughed suddenly. It surprised them both. I forgot what it feels like to laugh without guilt, she said. Sumit smiled. I forgot what it feels like to breathe. They were not naive. They knew scars do not disappear overnight. Some wounds linger quietly, reminding you of where you have been. But those wounds no longer controlled their days. They chose to keep their life private. No interviews, no statements, no explanations. Their story no longer belonged to the world. It belonged to them. Love, they learned, is not proven by suffering. It is proven by safety, by peace, by choosing each other even when it costs everything else. In leaving, they did not lose themselves. They found themselves. And sometimes that is the truest ending any love story can have.